up. You're back up. Your escape routes are really only this doorway here. But, you know, an aggressive suit won't hesitate. Could be through this doorway and straight down here, and then your escape route is cut off.
Yeah. So in that case, you'd be thinking about, I'm probably going to die, so resource gathering, taking anything away we can from the opponents. So that's sort of the threat areas. Now, obviously, this area, one of the best, well, not one of the best, but one of the items that you want to think about that isn't directly in your viewpoint is the grenade launcher. That counts as part of your area. You're not really going to get opponents moving all the way down to the grenades unless they want to do an absolutely amazing ambush on you. So grenade launcher, worth dropping down, getting it every time you can, and getting the ammo while you're at it, because actually grenades, you're using them as a spam item. Grenade ammo's right there. If you drop down, you might as well get both.
Yeah, and of course grenades are invaluable, especially when it comes time to defending quad. If you're playing against a team looking to push into quad, these nades in this area here certainly going to discourage them from coming through. And more than just at power-up time, if you're actually looking to go aggressively into the shotgun room yourself, I mean, you can fire nades in and really, you know, control the position of where your enemy's going to stand. I mean, if you learn all the nade bounces, you can get nades landing here, which is a common ambush point. You can get nades on the shotgun, on this doorway, so you're giving yourself an opportunity to push into this room using the grenades if you wish to do so.
So grenades, a very important item for both defense and potentially attack as well. Worth bearing in mind, because it's not in your immediate viewpoint. Often teams won't really think about it, but when you're a bit experienced on this map, you know how important they are to gather in. So this is the upper yellow anyway, and the link between the two, there's obviously a couple of links. Well, you can drop down this bounce pad or the other bounce pad or this corridor here. But they all lead to the yellow armor area down below. And you do want to keep a link between the two rooms. Now, generally, you might say a basics 2-2 split, but you're probably going to need support in one area or the other. As we talked about, teams don't generally attack both areas at the same time because they're spreading themselves a little bit too thin
Not even
sometimes.
teams. I mean, if you're a lower level team playing a top level team, then they might be really harsh and just try and dominate you completely, in which case they might just attack you at all parts of the map. But, you know, even teams, as this said, it's not going to be usually a case of losing out on both areas, so you need to be ready to support either area.
And you would generally keep one player at least in one area or the other, but say they start to push early on the quad, you might actually commit all 4 players to defend that quad position, because that's the key location. This lower area, if somebody's pushing from the railgun position, somebody from the yellow room might come through the corridor just behind Vor now and help to support the 2 players down below. This is a very, as we said, a dangerous position for somebody to come in from if you're holding that rail side. So it's a good counterpoint and not really used enough actually in a defensive way, I don't feel.
And I mean, you'll learn, I mean, against most opponents, I mean, most teams, they'll do the same sort of plays over and over again if they can. They'll do what works for them, and if you're identifying what they're trying to do, then you can look to counter it. Say they are going aggressive all the time in this lower yellow and they're never pressing you at quad and lightning gun, then, you know, have someone maybe in this position ready to counter, because if they're hidden here and quiet and they catch someone out standing in this position, which is very typical, you move into this room from the rail to attack, you're going to stand in this position and look for shots in here. You're an easy kill for a lightning gun in that situation.
Yeah, of course, you remember you've got 2 key weapons here. Lightning gun gets a lot of frags, and rockets is ideal in this position as well. So you've got access to both of those weapons there. They have a rocket launcher, shotgun, and a rail gun, which is maybe a little less useful. Although if they're sitting back as you go around the corner, they're going to get a nice rail shot in probably. But always, it is a good position to counter from. Here in a defensive way.
It's not the sort of position you're going to sit in for extended periods of time necessarily, but you know, it just depends on how the map's being played. I mean, there's no good having 2 people in this area to get area of the map if your opponent never attacks you here. You don't need that. They keep putting pressure on you lower, and make use of a position like this. It's all about, you know, reading the game and knowing what your opponents are trying and what what's working for them, because they're most likely going to keep doing it. If they keep attacking your lower yellow, they keep stealing it, they're going to keep trying to do that until you stop them, basically. Then they're going to try something else.
Okay, so in the yellow room, defensive points you want to be thinking about is obviously the opponents are most likely going to come from this upper doorway. We did talk about the lower doorway, but it's difficult to cover that one, especially as this is the major threat you need to watch out for. The way you might defend this position is getting a sharp angle on the doorway so you can rocket defend it as they come around the corner. Obviously they're going to drop down the stairs really quickly, so you have to be ready for a quick reaction shot if you're at a sharp angle and you can't actually see through down the corridor. Or you can, as Vor's doing a little bit here, looking further on, so you can see the bounce pad from this position, and you can spam some shots there. You can catch them as they drop down and catch a sight on them. You might not hit a shot, but you'll know they're there then.
And a position like this it's a hard position to just learn within a few days or a few weeks. I mean, this is a sort of position that requires a lot of mind games and understanding your opponent, the style of play they are. I mean, different opponents do different things in this situation. There's going to be people who are happy to just sit here and not really do anything. They're going to wait for you to do something. But then there's other players who will be far more aggressive. They'll look to push out into this lower yellow, then take advantage of you if you're out of position. But it's all about mind games, because you might spam a rocket here and the guy around here just stays here waiting. He's not gonna just come round looking to kill you or whatever. It's a lot about just learning when's the right time to sit back here, or when's the right time to try and push around and look for a kill.
Yeah, it's something you can't really discuss on a video.
No.
It's
I mean, you could probably do it like 5 hours of looking at different demos of different players in this position, and they'll all do something totally different.
And obviously that does apply for quite a lot of positions in Quake. It's such a free-form game style to it. We can't really cover every area, but this is generally speaking, you're going to be watching out for this doorway, and there's sort of two styles of play. You might sit back in a defensive position, or you might in turn push to the rail yourself.
Yeah, and if you're going to push to the rail, you have to be very aware that obviously at this point you can't be seen, but if I go and stand up here, you'll notice that the second anyone comes around that corner, it is visible from up here. So you have to understand the map fully and know where your opponents can see you from and where they can't. So a position like this, you would be safe. And if you do want to go aggressively around here, this isn't a situation where you necessarily want to take it slow. You'd actually be better in a position like this, going quickly round. Maybe you're looking for a railgun, you know the time or whatever, but you're not actually going to gain much of an advantage from being slow in a position like this.
It's also a good ambush point where you are, where you just were as well, for somebody coming down on the bounce pad. Often they might drop down for that 25, go forwards for at the rail. They might go for that. So it's a good ambush point as well to start off an attack. So if you can creep in here and just wait, then you might want to set up a counter on that rail position by waiting for them to come and drop down. Maybe they're going to get to 25, maybe they're not, but at some point they're probably going to drop down and you'll be able to hear them, and then you could counter them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players would drop down and probably pre-fire a rocket as they dropped. I mean, depends on the player. I mean, if you come round and are firing a rocket as you go around the corner, then anyone standing here will be hit and in trouble. But if they don't pre-fire, then you might hit a direct rocket, and then you can decide what to do from there. You can either go for the kill, or if your rocket wasn't quite good enough to set up an easy kill, maybe just back straight off, having not hopefully taken any damage.
So the other areas around this yellow that are important, obviously the yellow armor, you need to farm that effectively. You've got the 50 and the 25 you need to remember about, and players will drop down from the quad area to get those health bubbles as well. Don't just farm up health items. If you've got 98 health, don't pick up the 50. You need to have lost a significant amount of damage to pick up the 50 really, otherwise you're just wasting that. Obviously the rocket launcher, and you want to distribute rocket launchers between the two areas. Both areas need a rocket launcher to defend them effectively, so you want rocket launcher low and high. And yeah, just this area is really just about trying to get the upper position to defend it more than anything. You don't want to be standing around in the lower position because the threat is from above and from that rail position. And as we said, the other danger point is from the battlesuit coming through, getting pot shots at you on the lower level. So if you're the higher level anyway, you're less likely to take shots from that hitting you. But this lower area, you might commit 2 people to it, but once you're both a bit stacked, you sort of only need 1. That's the way I view this area. And
it depends on the time as well. I mean, you're most likely not going to have 2 stacked people down here just after a quad, let's say. But, you know, leading up to the quad, you would definitely want one of those players at least to vacate this area quite early and get ready to set quad up, because, you know, this is no longer the really important area when we're leading up to quad. You just want to make sure that that quad is totally secured, because, you know, this is not a map where you can afford to give up both power-ups.
So we kind of discussed, I guess, really the defensive way you might play either side of the map now. So
just one quick thing. There's something really weird in this game about the spawn point in this room. For some reason, it may just be me that's experienced this, I don't know, but for some reason, if I'm stood in either this position, on this staircase, or here, I seem to get a ridiculous number of people spawning in this room, and I seem to pick up so many kills doing this. I don't know why happens, but there's just, in my opinion, something about this area. You stand it, people are going to spawn, and you're going to kill them.
If you can effectively farm spawn points, you're going to get massive frag bonuses, and this is basically conversions. If you're killing someone off the spawn, it's because your teammates killed someone, so you're converting that flag into
we've had
more
we had games on this map where, you know, we can be holding this area and we pick up 6 or 7 kills just from someone being in this area, like from the spawn point here and the spawn point in there. You just pick up a kill here, somehow they spawn there, then there again, and just something a bit odd about spawn points on this map.
And then 6 or 7 kills, you might win the map by 5 or 6 kills, so massive advantage by understanding the spawn play. That's something that takes experience, learning where the spawn points are. I don't think we're going to go over those in detail really, where every spawn point is, but just by playing the game, understanding the routes players take from spawns and where those spawn points are, so that when somebody dies you notice it, you're ready to counter any spawners and take advantage of it. It's a massive element of Quake in every game mode, the spawn kills, so worth understanding. Anyway, so we've covered how you would effectively play either side of the map in a defensive split game. I think.
Well, and we've done offensive from red as well. We still haven't done how to put pressure on red from the yellow.
Well, we haven't done. Yeah, we've done a bit of pressure. We haven't really done a full-out attack onto either area. But
yeah.
Well, we talked about the railgun position, how you want to force yourself onto that with rocket launcher. We can go a bit further, in fact, on this position. If you can get the opportunity to go up the bounce pad, you do want to take that, especially if you manage to have a rocket and a rail. If you have 2 players here, this is a great ambush point. And you see what you're doing in reverse to the way we saw the red armor area. You're expanding your yellow armor control right in on their red room, so you can push it to the point where they've only got the red and the shotgun room now. They haven't got the rail area, they haven't got pressure on your lower yellow, and that's all you're doing. Like, there's just these 2 contestable areas effectively on either side of the map that can swing in control. So you've got the shotgun room, but that's massively favoured by the red armor room, and the little corridor between it with the shards, which can sort of be a little bit more contestable because you can spam onto it, so they can't get the shard advantage. And then you've got this area here, which, although the red probably has a bit of an advantage, once you get to a point where you've won over the rail and you can move up here, then suddenly it's quite a good position to hold an ambush on, and you can do a lot of damage. So they might not even risk trying to take it back that quickly.
Most of the time they won't know you're here. They'll have been, you know, someone will have taken rail, they'd have come back to red or whatever, and they'll just assume that it's safe in here. Now, you know, the tighter team play teams probably will have someone instantly replace anyone who leaves the rail, because, you know, it's one of the key areas of the map. But you know, there will be times when there is an opportunity to get up here and wait for an ambush, and it's very rare that you'll see someone. I mean, maybe they will expect you to be here, maybe someone has heard the bounce pad, because you can never totally 100% keep track of where everyone is. But if no one has reported that they've heard the bounce pad and they've got no reason to suspect that you're here, then there's never anyone who's going to check it. And players just jump through, as I just did, and are rocketed in the back, or they don't jump, they're just rocketed as they come through the door.
This is a great position to rail from into that room as well, especially if you get two players teaming up together. So you've got that ambusher with the rocket drawing them in, and then waiting for the ambush, and the railer drawing them in. So you can sit back with a rail and rail through this doorway. You can actually get a rail shot in at the staircase position through that little window
easy
as well.
shots here, obviously. When you're going up a staircase, you're going up that very narrow portion there. One thing to be mindful of as well is people coming from the shotgun room for the 50 health, which is behind this wall I'm looking at. They might take the 50 and then come straight out into this open area here. They'll have just wasted that 50 health pickup. Oh, and look out for people in this position here, because believe it or not, some amazing players can jump up and rail you through there.
You can sit back here and use machine gun to open the door, of course, then quickly switch to rail and get rail shots in as well. You can see that.
Much tighter angle though, but you can still catch people who are walking around here.
It's also safer sitting back here, so you've got the trade-off really. It's going to be a harder shot, but you're going to be safer and you can escape if they try and counter you. You can do the same, obviously shoot the doors with the machine gun at the quad area, and that's something traditionally people used to do as well in the quad area, is keep that door open at all times. But I think that kind of covers it then, Vor.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have to stop the VOD a minute here because I'm getting some computer slowdown. So we'll be back. Probably it's going to be a third part now, because I think we went over the hour limit on this first part, so that's going to be split, and it's like probably another 20 minutes or something. Then I'm going to have to stop. So we'll be back with, I guess, the third part or the next part. Well, in the next video.